When we're writing, we've got to keep the prose as clear as possible. Of course, this is easier said than done, but I've got your back. After years of battling my own crippling perfectionism, I've become a bit of a prose nerd. So, if you're game, I'll share the 2 building blocks for effective writing that will guide everything you do from here on out. But before we dive in, let's understand the why behind these building blocks. If you've been on this channel before, you know it's time for a trip to the world of neuroscience. Reading isn't a walk in the park for our brains. It's a full-blown gym workout. Our brains go through these 3 steps when we're reading: the lexical, syntactic, and inferential stages. That might sound complex, but trust me when I say it's easy to grasp. The first thing our brain does is play a game of match the word. It looks at each word and tries to remember what it is based on all the times we've seen it before. But English, being the wonderfully tricky language it is, often has words that mean different things depending on where they are in the sentence. Like hope, for example. It could be a thing you have, something you do, or even how you describe something. Next, our brain starts playing detective, trying to figure out how the word all fit together in the sentence. It's like we're constantly guessing what's coming next based on what we've already read. Our brains love cause and effect. Finally, we've got the inferential stage. This is where our brain tries to make sense of the whole thing based on what we already know. We lean on this stage when a sentence just doesn't make sense. The cool thing is, if a sentence aligns with something we're already familiar with, we can process it much faster and remember it better. Since we're working less hard, it's way more immersive, which is something us writers should always be about. So, as writers, let's give our readers a helping hand by considering these 2 building blocks: active writing and clear sentence structure. Active writing is like turning your sentences into mini action-packed movies, or, as I like to call them, neuro movies. Part of this is all about choosing active sentences over passive ones. Our brains like a good cause and effect story. It's simple and straightforward. When sentences get all twisted up, our poor brains must work overtime to untangle the meaning. And as we've already established, we don't want to make our readers' brains sweat. Now, here's a trick to spot a passive sentence. Just add "by zombies" after the verb. If it still makes sense, bingo, you've got a passive sentence on your hands. Let's try this with a sentence my buddy threw at me the other day. Shinji liked being kicked in the balls by zombies. I immediately knew this was a passive sentence. Why is it? Shinji isn't doing the kicking here. He's just receiving. If we make it active, it goes something like, Asuka kicked Shinji in the balls and he liked it. Try adding zombies to this one. Doesn't quite make sense, does it? You should try and get in on the fun too. In the comments, I want you to come up with the most outrageous passive sentence you can think of, and then add "by zombies" after the verb. I'll pin the one that makes me laugh the most. Now, before you go and start banishing all passive sentences from your writing, let me say this. There's a time and place for them. Sometimes, you might want to create a bit of distance or detachment from the action. Check out how it helps convey how clinical and detached Agent 47 is in this example I whipped up. Also, it's a handy tool for when you're just trying to deliver facts, or when you want to put the spotlight on the object or action rather than the doer. Like how we want to emphasize that Shinji liked being kicked in the balls as opposed to the act itself. Passive sentences can also be your secret weapon for keeping things vague, especially when you're talking about unclear or unknown events. Or, when you'd rather not point fingers at anyone. And, if you're writing a character's internal monologue, feel free to let the passive sentences roll. Sometimes, it just feels more natural that way. Now, having given passive sentences their time in the sun, let's get our focus back to the life of the party. Action verbs. You can't have active sentences without them. They show us who's doing what, cut out unnecessary fluff, and help paint a vivid picture in the reader's mind. They are the speed demons of the sentence world and are so much more fun than non-action verbs. Ever read something that sounded like it was pulled straight up from a manual? Probably full of non-action verbs. These guys, like is, was, or has been, just state a fact or condition. They don't move things along, they just exist. And sometimes, they need a bunch of other words just to make sense. It doesn't make for a thrilling read. And then there's this sneaky thing called nominalization. These are verbs that got tired of doing all the work and decided to take a break as abstract nouns. Think utilization instead of use, or development instead of develop. They rob verbs of their action, making sentences complex and hard to understand. So, to keep your writing alive and kicking, focus on active sentences and action verbs. It'll keep your reader engaged and make your point clear as day. And remember, if you come across a nominalization, don't be afraid to kick it to the curb and bring back the action verb it's been hiding. Now, having said all that, let's turn our attention to clear sentence construction. It's all about crafting sentences that are easy to follow and keep your reader right there with you. First, your sentences need some stars. We call these guys actors. They could be people, objects, even abstract concepts. The important thing is that they act in your writing. They're the ones doing something, making your sentences feel like tiny stories. Just try to steer clear of abstract stuff as your main subject. It's like trying to grab a cloud and can leave your reader feeling a bit lost. But there's more to it than just picking your actors. We need to make sure they hit the stage at the right time. So, put your subject and verb as close to the start of your sentence and as close to each other as possible. Why? Because when we read, we're like fortune tellers, predicting what comes next based on what we've got so far. The sooner we spot the subject and the verb, the clearer our predictions, and the easier it is to get the hang of the sentence. It's like handing off a baton in a relay race. You don't want to make your reader run extra laps before they get to the good stuff. Plus, it helps steer clear of that dreaded fog of ambiguity. If your reader must backtrack to figure out what this or that or it is referring to, you're breaking the flow and leaving them scratching their heads. So remember to pick clear actors and get them on the stage early. That way, your reader can sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hopefully this all sounds quite simple. You're going to need it as the foundation for the next steps, as clarity is the first of the 5 C's we're tackling. We've still got continuity, coherence, concision, and my personal favorite, cadence, to dive into. Each of these elements, when honed, will take your writing from good to great.